Good evening and welcome to the Monday, the 29th of November 2021 Council meeting. Item 1, meeting opening. 1.1, attendance. Is there any apologies, Mr Benny?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Apology this evening from Councillor Sean O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mr Benny. Item 1.2, acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, while also recognising their deep and continuing connection to climate, culture and country. We also pay our respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their elders who may be present at this meeting today and acknowledge their journey. Item 3, offering of prayer. As part of Council's commitment to recognising the cultural and spiritual diversity of our community, the prayer this evening will be offered by Ros Blades AM from the Jewish community, a member of the Greater Dandenong Interfaith Network. This evening, Deputy Mayor Foster will read out the prayer.
On behalf of the Jewish community and the Interfaith Network of Greater Dandenong, may I, as the Jewish member, take the opportunity of wishing the councillors and staff a happy and healthy Hanukkah. Hanukkah is a Jewish festival that reaffirms the ideals of Judaism and commemorates, in particular, the rededication of the Second Temple of Jerusalem by the lighting of candles on each day of the festival. According to legend, the Jews had risen up against their Greek-Syrian oppressors in the Maccabean Revolt. Hanukkah 2021 will begin in the evening of Sunday 28th November and ends in the evening of Monday 6th December. Hanukkah is generally referred to as the Festival of Lights and as a candelabra with oil in it. It is lit each night to celebrate the miracle of the oil in the temple, lasting 8 days instead of 1. The traditional foods that are eaten are potato latkes and jam donuts, both deep-fried in oil. The traditional greeting for this festival, if you want to wish someone a happy Hanukkah, is Hanukkah Sameach. And I wish you all a happy, healthy Festival of Lights. Ros Blades.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Foster. We'll move on to item 1.4, confirmation of minutes of previous meetings of Council held 11th of November 2021 and 15th of November 2021.
Happy to move it.
Moved by Councillor Trong, second by Councillor Long. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. I declare the motion carried. Item 1.5, disclosures of interest. Mr Benny.
None received, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Benny. Move on to item 2, officers' reports, part 1, 2.1, documents for sealing, 2.1.1, documents for sealing.
Happy to
move
move
by
it.
Councillor
Second
Long,
that.
second by Councillor Tan. Are there any questions?
No question,
Councillor
Mayor.
Tan.
I just want to say congratulations. I just want to say congratulations to our staff. Sorry, I've got to take my mask off. A letter of recognition to Lauren Beachy, to Navenka Fetkovic, Oslesia Savinsky, and Tayana Turkovic. So congratulations, guys, for achieving 20 years of your service, for community service to the City of Greater Dandenong. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Is there any further questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 2.2, documents for tabling. 2.2.1, documents for tabling.
I'll move that.
Councillor Formosa, second by Councillor Lim. Councillors, I've got a petition. It's to the Greater Dandenong Council so that the Dandenong Community Hub is successful and well used. Dandenong residents request Greater Dandenong Council to revise the concept design that has been exhibited to ABC is put children's services, including children's services playgrounds, on the ground floor so children can experience the earth and so that it is a facility that parents want to send their children to. B, expand the public playground to be at least the same size as the Keysborough South Community Hub and the Springvale Community Hub playground so that it is a successful drawcard for visitors to the Dandenong Community Hub and the Dandenong Market. And C, leave the cafe and community lounge on the ground floor so it interfaces with the public playground. And to achieve this by using more of the publicly owned land available on the site bordered by the Clough Street, Stewart Street, King Street and Sleat Avenue. And I have 238 signatures. Thank you. Is there any further questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 2.2.2, petitions and joint letters. Moved
Happy to
by
move.
Deputy Foster, second by Councillor Trong. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 2.3, statutory planning applications. 2.3.1, planning decisions issued by Planning Minister's Delegate. Moved by Councillor Dark, second by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 2.3.2, planning delegated decisions issued October 2021. Moved by Councillor Garrard, second by Deputy Mayor Foster. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 3, question time public. Mr Benny.
Mayor and councillors, the first question this evening is from Sylvia Mastrogiovanni of Dandenong. The answer to my question at the last council meeting seemed to be that council are choosing to keep council meetings closed to the public because they can. However, given that since the 18th of November all restrictions have been removed from almost all indoor settings, particularly much higher risk settings like restaurants where there are no density limits anymore and no masks required, how can council really justify closing council meetings to the public? Why not introduce sensible constraints to allow a certain number of members of the public to attend? Ms Roberts could respond.
Ms Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks, Sylvia, for the question. Yes, council is choosing to keep members of the public physically outside of council meetings for the remainder of 2021, but is also reminding them at every opportunity to watch the live webcasts. This is for a number of reasons. Unfortunately, the infection rate in Greater Dandenong is still quite high, even though the vaccination rate is increasing. There remains too many unvaccinated people who could interact with others unless we exercise the highest level of caution. Risks for people in public places remain, and we have structured attendance levels at this venue to maintain an optimal level of safety, particularly in this period immediately after lockdown. When vaccination levels improve and when densities can safely increase, we will have no hesitation in allowing more people to attend. But in the meantime, the safety of those who must attend, our elected representatives and staff, and of course any members of the public, is at the forefront of our response. Also, in the meantime, council is testing a number of risk control measures at both councillor briefing sessions and council meetings, and at the end of, until the end of the year, to decide on the most effective method for keeping everyone safe, but particularly those who might be more susceptible to contracting the virus. Directions for open council facilities do not yet specify council meetings and only include essential council facilities and services. Council is hopeful that further clear directions will be issued by the state government that outline a clear path in coming together indoors in the council meeting environment for all participants, regardless of their vaccination status. We appreciate the public's patience while we undertake further risk control measures over the remainder of this year and await further directions from the state government.
Thank you, Ms Roberts. Mr Benny.
The next question is from Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park. Excuse me. In relation to agenda item 4.1.1 Q1 Quarterly Performance Report, I have two-part questions. A, regarding action, complete and execute outstanding and new joint use agreements between the Department of Education and the City of Greater Dandenong, page 45. What is the nature of the joint use agreements with Keysborough College Acacia and Banksia campuses? What is the community benefit obtained, and how is that communicated to the public? Using the Chandler Community Centre as an example, back in the 1980s, the concept of it as a community centre for Keysborough residents was clear, but now there is little broader resident consciousness about it. It is seen as just a school building for hire. And B, regarding action, implement the Year 2 actions of the Make Your Move Greater Dandenong Physical Activity Strategy to improve health outcomes for our diverse and multicultural community, page 45. When is the informal recreation plan that was consulted on earlier this year going to be publicly available? Ms Budden can respond.
Ms Budden.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll start with Part A. The Keysborough College, Acacia and Banksia campuses joint use agreements have been in place for a number of years, allowing Council to allocate the playing fields for cricket each summer. Officers are working with the Department of Education to develop new agreements to ensure ongoing community access. The joint use of these spaces for the community provides additional opportunities to improve participation and access to sport and recreation activities. And to Part B. The draft informal recreation infrastructure plan is going to support the implementation of the Make Your Move Greater Dandenong Physical Activity Strategy and also the Greater Dandenong Open Space Strategy. Consultation was conducted earlier this year on existing informal recreation infrastructure usage and what infrastructure the community would like to see more of in the future. Feedback from this consultation will guide future planning and provision of informal outdoor community infrastructure as open space upgrades are planned. Further updates on this work will be provided to the community in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Budden. Mr Benny.
The final question tonight is from Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park. I've heard a lot of residents complain in recent weeks about overgrown grass in parks. The fact that grass is growing quicker is likely due to climate conditions. Is Council considering changing their mowing frequency to take account of different weather conditions, and in particular the impacts of climate change? And if not, why not? Mr Kearsley could respond.
Mr Kearsley.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr Kerwin for the question and also through you, Mayor. I'd like to just take an opportunity to perhaps provide everyone with an update, including an answer to Mr Kerwin. With regards to this particular matter, we have faced a number of issues and concerns from our community. So, essentially, I can advise that staff are now mowing Saturdays and Sundays, as well as options to start early and work late. The mowing of high-profile parks has been prioritised, and we are now on a 3-week cycle for Dandenong Park, Keysborough South and other prominent parks, and they are beginning to present well. Sports grounds have been double cut this week for the first time in several weeks. With the application of growth inhibitors and double cuts moving forward, they'll be presenting well within the next fortnight. We have increased mowing frequencies for our roadside mowing contract to a 3-week cycle, which includes main roads such as Cheltenham Road, Princess Highway and Springvale Road, and this program is also starting to present well. We've increased mowing frequencies with our maintenance contracts for Summerfield and Jerring Trail, and we do believe that with the current weather, today, beautiful day, yesterday, etc., no rain, we don't need any more rain, we believe that all of the parks should start being drying out, and therefore they should start to become accessible for our mowing machines. With regards to the particular question, I've asked the team and teams to present to myself, EMT, and then Council at a CBS. We may use one of those 101 sessions early in the new year, perhaps around March, to highlight what we have done with regards to the impacts of the recent wet and warm weather, and what that might do with regards to implications on ongoing budgets. So it's a matter that we just need to see what's working today, what's working for the next couple of months, and then we will certainly report that back to Council. If that means that we need to tweak our program, tweak our budgets as we go through what we have at the moment, which is El Niño, then we can certainly put that to council for some further consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Thank you, Mr Benny. We'll move on to item 4, councillors. Officers' reports, part 2, 4.1, policy and strategy, 4.1.1, first quarter, the performance report. Moved by Councillor Garrard, second by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Councillor Garrard.
I'd just like to congratulate the officers for their achievements in this, as outlined in this quarterly performance report, particularly relating to their achievements against the climate emergency strategy.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Item 4.1.2, procurement policy. Moved by Councillor Long. Second by Councillor Milkovich. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. 4.2, other. 4.2.1, proposal for creation of United Energy Powerline easement at 890E Taylors Road, Dandenong South. Moved by Councillor Garrard, second by Councillor Long. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 4.2.2, list of registered correspondence to Mayor and Councillors. Moved by Deputy Mayor Foster, second by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 5, notice of motion. There are none. Item 6, reports from councillors, delegated members and councillor questions. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, it's certainly been a very, very busy fortnight for a lot of this council, but also for the community, particularly as we now come out of COVID lockdowns after such a long time. I've actually had the pleasure of attending quite a few events just this weekend, particularly just gone. A couple of the highlight of the events that I've been to, the Noble Park Drina Soccer Club, which this council has always supported, and in particular the last few years with the Parkfield Master Plan has received a significant amount of investment. They were fortunate enough, thanks to Football Victoria and with the lockdowns, to actually end up being promoted along with a lot of the other soccer clubs in the municipality. And I know it is a significant celebration, particularly for a club to be to move up in terms of where they are and where they've been sitting. I know historically we used to hold events for clubs when they've been able to move up in the levels. I know it may not be possible at the moment, still as we're still coming out of COVID, but if we could write to the clubs that have been successful, I know many other councils are also aware of several clubs have been promoted as well, that would also be helpful. I also had the pleasure of attending the Springvale Districts Football Club Awards Night on Saturday night, and that was to celebrate the 2021 season, including the fact that they have actually now become, according to the recent statistics, the largest football club in the Southern District Football League. Now that includes all the way from Glen Iris, Elwood, all the way down towards Frankston, just before the end there, and then across as well. They actually also have now been the recipients of now one of the largest female sports teams. They have now 8 female netball clubs, or female football teams within their club, playing both AFL women's and then also within the netball courts there as well. They have said to me that they, I suppose, have had some conversations with council regarding the fact that they now are suffering substantial growing pains. I was just wondering to the relevant officer whether we could have a conversation with them about what options are available. I'm aware that we have, I believe, allocated about $300,000 for the upgrade for the facilities, but I also believe that there is a large facility there that they actually don't have access to when they're playing large games and when they're playing on the grounds. So if we could just get in touch with them and organise a meeting, that would be great.
Ms Badin.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll take that one on notice and we can follow that up for you.
Thank you, Ms Badin. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I also had the pleasure of attending probably one of the biggest scout events I've attended in quite a long time for the local scouts. This was organised by the Bunurong Rovers, who are fundraising for a lot of the community events that they have been hosting and a lot of the work that the Scouts have been doing as well, and that was very good to attend that. It was a day out where we headed up to the Yarra Valley with a lot of people and we were able to celebrate also the achievements of the Scouts. So I just want to thank and congratulate the 2nd Springvale Scouts on all the work that they've done over the last few years and wish them good luck with the rally that is coming up interstate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dark, and it's good to see my old football club, Springvale District's doing well. I played under 15s there many, many years ago, so it's good to see they're going stronger and stronger. Thank you for that. Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. I'd like to thank Vern and Mr Kevin Van Boxtel for organising quickly a meeting at Brady Road Shops for the Dine Art Screens. It was a very productive meeting. The guys there, the Chooks on Brady and also the Baladi Lebanese bakery shop, they're quite delighted that there is an opportunity to actually even apply for that. So thank you to the team there. And I would also like to ask a relevant officer if we could please somehow, I've had about 3 or 4 calls in the last, I would say 2 or 3 days where the council notices came really late for November. One resident actually SMS'd me, said that the rates notice was issued on the 5th of November. It was stamped by the post office on the 25th, and now they're in a panic. They don't know that there's this, no interest charge period till December. And I know that it's sort of not advertised widely. We did vote on it, and there is no interest. But people just start to panic. They go, we haven't got enough time or whatever. Is there somehow we can communicate with the notices to people online or somehow to tell them that not to panic? Particularly elderly residents. I had one that she was really could not even almost explain that there is no interest being charged till December. And she was sort of saying, well, no, it says November here. It's like, yeah, can we do something somehow to just let them know that there's no panic? Thank you.
Through you, Mayor, just to clarify that too, with the Australia Post deliveries, a lot of the rate notices at the moment are quite significantly delayed, which I guess would prompt some residents to be concerned about receiving their rate notice. And I'll work with the Exec Manager of Communications and Media to see how we can get better comms out regarding the interest waiver period.
Thank you, Ms Hanson. Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you. That's all from me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Milkovich. Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Firstly, I just want to start with my report, some of the events I attended to the last 2 weeks. So on the 20th of November, I attended the Cambodian fundraising, which is to assist the local Cambodians who are affected by COVID-19, which is hosted by the Cambodian Association of Victoria. They raised over 6,000 on a day. So I just want to congratulate the Cambodian Association of Victoria. Thanks for their generosity, for their help. Since the Delta breakout this year, they managed to help at least 52 families already. So with the food relief package, which is $100 per package per family, it's food like all Asian eat. So normally you get rice, you get noodles and veggie and fruits. So I just want to congratulate to the CAW and happy 36th anniversary. On the 23rd of November, I attended the COVID information sessions, which is to discuss how best to support our older Cambodian community members to become vaccinated. So I just want to say, thank you to Mr. Yu Horn Chia, the President of the Cambodian Association of Victoria, Ms. Mandy Galift, Manager of the Community Care, and Rob Coach, who's the Monash Health key community engagement staff for organising the event. So soon Monash Health will organising a vaccination bus to all the community group who doesn't have any transportation. So it would be great for elderly to get vaccinated. Thank you. And also I just want to raise that this week is the International Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women. So we'll mark the launch of the United and End Violence Against Women campaign, which will start from November 25th to the 10th of December. It's an initiative of the 16 days of activists. So I just want to say thank you to council as well, because this year we haven't done the walks against women because of COVID restriction, but we managed to do it online. Yeah, and just also this campaign is also raised to eliminate violence against women, girls around the world, calling the global, for global actions to increase awareness, to promote advocacy, create opportunity for discussion, challenges and solutions. And tonight I just want to say thanks to our Business Engineering Major Projects Directorate for your great works. especially for the almost completion of the $1.17 million project on Douglas Street streetscape upgrade, so stage 4 almost completed. These projects, including the threshold of treatments and functional road changes at Douglas Street and Leonard Avenue to Stewart Street, that will improve the appearance of the street and identify traffic and parking issue that we had. So congratulations, Mr. Paul Kearsley, and thanks to all your staff as well. My question for tonight, just regarding to, I just want to find out through you, Mayor, to the relevant officer, is there any upgrade or any update of the block of land that we had at the Noble Park Station that owned by the state government? Do you know any improvement on that yet? Thanks.
Mr. Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor, through you, Mayor. No, I'll take that one on notice. I think the last time we contacted them was several months ago, so it's probably an opportune time to ask them what they're doing. The last piece of information we had was that they had a particular developer in mind. They'd gone through a process, that is VicTrack, but that's probably the furthest we've ever got, so we'll try and get some better information about timing for you.
Thank you, Mr. Kearsley. Councillor Tan.
Thank you. And the other one I want to find out, the block of land at Coppers Reserve, which is meant to be a aged care facility, meant to be like part of the project, need to be built there or something, but we haven't heard anything since.
No, I'll take that one on notice.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Kearsley. Thank you, Councillor Tan.
That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Mayor. Just on Wednesday, the 17th of November, I attend AGM of Italian Senior Citizen Club as a guest speaker. On the Tuesday, the 23rd of November, I attend CAB, Indian Cambodian Association of Victoria, invited by Mrs. Mandy Gatliff and also by Rob Koch. He's a senior advisor committee engagement from Monash Health. On Wednesday, the 24th of November, I got invited from Springvale Neighbourhood House as a guest speaker as well, attend the AGM. Okay. My first question is just like to find out about in all the shopping activity center, any possibility that the business owner want to sponsor certain amenity in our ward. The reason like that because I understand that because of the council we don't have enough fund to fund all of those amenities, and some business owner raised some issue to me that we should upgrade or we should make our amenity more attractive and more prestigious. Therefore, any other rule that we can let the business owner to sponsor those sort of things, such as seats, upgrade to probably granite seats, or maybe rubbish bin, maybe upgrade to stainless steel type of rubbish bin. Thanks.
Mr. Thorley or Mr. Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor, through you, Mayor. One of the ways that Council can do that is through a special charge scheme or a special rate scheme. There are a number of them in other councils that relate to trader communities or shopping precincts. It's guided by an Act of Parliament in terms of the process that you have to go through. It is fairly complex. You do need a significant percentage of traders and owners to support the proposal. It's something that we can certainly look into. What I would suggest, Councillor, is that we perhaps talk to you early in the new year with regards to the process, and if you think you're still interested in it in terms of what could be done, then we could perhaps bring it back to Council for a briefing at a CBS. It can take anything up to a year and a half, even longer sometimes. And what it ends up doing is requiring contributions from, depending on how you set it up, landowners and or tenants, and they then can fund certain things such as what you've spoken about. They usually also fund promotions and marketing opportunities as well, but it has to be driven by a trader association. So that's probably something we can talk to SABA about as well to see whether or not they would be interested. And essentially a trader can contribute a couple of $100 a month towards a plan that is then adopted by both the council and the trader group with regards to using those funds for certain things, whether it be for a festival or marketing, or in some cases it can be for physical infrastructure like seats and things. So best thing for us to do is to brief you on it so that you're 100% across what it is and what it takes in terms of getting it through council. I've been involved in a number of them in other municipalities. They do take some time to happen, and unless you get that trader support of a significant number, it doesn't get through. So that's, again, something we'd need to talk to you about.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Mayor. The second question is relating to private loading zone. A couple of months ago, I raised this issue once, but seemed to be nothing happened yet. And a couple of weeks ago, I also emailed to a relevant officer, I'm not sure which one, and haven't got any answer from that yet, because in Springvale Activity Centre, a lot of business people have some issue about their private loading zone. The reason, because people sometimes park there all day and stop the delivery people from coming into their loading zone to dispatch all the goods. Anything that we can do from our council to monitor the loading zone by fine those, or or probably issue the infringement notice to those people that park illegally on the private loading zone, and probably the council can generate some income as well. Thanks.
Mr Thorley.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Officers are currently investigating various car parking and access matters within the Springvale Activity Centre. This work is currently ongoing, with a bit to do, and once we have a clearer picture of the potential way forward, Jodie Bosman, the Director of City Planning, Design and Amenity, will be in contact with you, Councillor Lim, within the next 2 weeks to discuss potential way forwards for Council to pursue any legislative matters or means that we have. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Thorley.
Thank you for that. Thanks, Mayor. Just finally, just want to thank you only to all the director and council officer like Mr. Brett Jackson, Brett Berry, Mr. Jim Devine, and so Paul Kearsley for helping me the last couple of weeks regarding to email or so many issues, even in my ward or other wards, so many wards that people keep approaching me. And thank you so much for their response so promptly. That's a great one. And the other thing is thank you also to Matt McNally. He's in charge of, I think, Springvale Boulevard construction. He's a sort of communication manager. He comes to see me on a regular basis, weekly, every week since the beginning of the construction. And thank you so much about him. And he keep me informed and also keep informed to all the business owners in Springvale. And thank you. And I meet him every week, especially Thursday. Thank you. And he always normally he take me to the construction site to explain to me about the progress of the boulevard as well. Thank you for that. That's all, man.
Thank you, Councillor Lim. Councillor Long.
Thank you. These are some of the events I have attended since my last formal meeting. On the 16th of November, I attended the Interfaith Network Combined Schools Gathering via Zoom. On the 18th of November, I attended the 7 Showcase Women in Business. The topic was Tame Your Inner Critic via Zoom. On the 21st of November, I attended the book launch of a very proud Wurundjeri elder, Auntie Pat Ockwell, in Abbotsford. The title of the book is Auntie Pat Ockwell's Tells Her Story. Here is a copy of that book, and they are available. On the 23rd of November, I attended the board meeting of the Dandenong Market Proprietary Limited as council's representative, where we discussed various items of business, finance, strategy and marketing. On the 24th of November, I delivered flowers to Don and Audrey Bergman for their 70th wedding anniversary. The 26th of November, I attended a Teams meeting of the Road Safety Executive. At lunchtime, I attended the season launch and business and sponsors luncheon for the Dandenong Cricket Club at Chepley Oval. That night I attended the TAB Melbourne Cup at Sandown Greyhounds. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I had the opportunity of meeting with the Keysborough Community Children's Centre through the week, who are doing a tremendous job. It is quite incredible to hear of the lengths services such as this are going through to remain open during COVID. Congratulations to this community-led service for the important work they do in caring for young children and providing a stimulating learning environment, particularly with the constant challenges of COVID. It's also very pleasing to see the commencement of the long-awaited Keysborough South bus route. This will reduce traffic and increase travel options for residents. We do need to see the bus frequency increase to half-hourly, and there is urgent need for bus shelters. It is unacceptable that many residents, particularly elderly residents, must stand in the hot sun or in the rain for up to 50 minutes without shelter. I would also like to take this opportunity to urge people to support a local resident who is doing it tough. Tommy Hood, who is from a well-known local family, unfortunately was diagnosed with T-cell lymphoma. Since the diagnosis, Tommy has been fighting every step of the way through multiple surgeries, chemo, with many ups and downs that have accompanied his treatment. Melbourne Cable Park are hosting a huge fundraising event in the park on the 11th of December. It would be tremendous to see the community get behind the family and support Tommy and his mum through this really difficult time. This is Tommy's Day is on November the 11th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you can find tickets on their website. December. Okay, I'll get it right. December the 11th from 10 till 6 with tickets on their Melbourne Cable Park website and their Facebook page. I also wish to congratulate the residents who advocated for the suspension of the sale of the Walker Street Gallery, which will continue for some time to be of use to community artists. This is a good move for the local artist community and a good decision by the council and councillors. My first question to the relevant officer, through you, Mayor, can the relevant officer please explain the delay in the commencement of the Keysborough South Hub?
Mr Kisley.
Thank you, Councillor. The last advice in terms of the timing was given by myself in early September, and I'll just refer to a couple of dates to then give you some updates. The tender period at that point was to be from the end of January 2022 to the end of February 2022. That will now commence in March 2022, so we're probably looking at a 4-week slip there. With regards to construction commencement, we'd previously identified that it would be early June 2022. We're now looking at construction commencing in July 2022, and as such, that's why Council was previously advised that the financial commitment for this construction would be in the next financial year and not this current financial year. Some of the reasons behind it, which have been unfortunate, is the significant turnover in staff at both the architects and a number of lead consultants. We've essentially lost the entire architect team at GSA that were involved in the whole project, so they are now working very hard to make sure they keep to the times that we've told them to keep to. And we are, as recorded on page 35 of tonight's agenda, in the quarterly performance report, it refers to the round 2 submission for the Green Building Council of Australia being at 75%. That's a construction tender package that we are required to submit to the Green Building Council before we do our own tender process. So we are aiming to have that completed hopefully in the next couple of weeks, which means that the slip has occurred due to the complexity of that particular process.
Thank you, Mr Kisley. Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. It is pleasing to see the Council's election advocacy document has gone live. However, some major projects do not seem to be there, such as the Dandenong Hub. What is the status of this document? Is it up to date? And if not, when will it be? This is critically important as we are soon to head into a federal election.
Ms Sprague.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you for that question, Councillor. Council's advocacy document is updated at least annually and made available on our website soon after it's updated and available. The current version was updated for the Mayor and Councillors' attendance at the annual General Assembly in Canberra in June of this year. So plans are now underway to update that document again for the forthcoming federal election, prior to which councillors will be given or presented with a list of topics of most relevance for inclusion. There is already a section on extending and upgrading shared user networks in the current version, but as mentioned, topics will be reviewed with, particularly with federal advocacy in mind. We also have a separate public transport advocacy page on the website, which I've now arranged to be linked. And this makes specific reference to various bus routes, in addition to which various items of state advocacy have been undertaken. So we will be looking with the new document for that to be targeted at federal advocacy items.
Thank you, Ms Bragg. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. So thank you for that information. Can we add to the state advocacy page the Green Wedge walking, cycling and equestrian trails plan that has been languishing since 2019? And can we also add to the transport plan that you mentioned an increase in the frequency of the Keysborough South bus route to Huff Alley and the inclusion of bus shelters?
Ms Bragg.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the state transport advocacy document does refer to the Keysborough South bus route. We can certainly look at adding more on bus shelters to that, to the trails that you mentioned.
Thank you, Ms Bragg. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. My final question, a number of residents have expressed concerns about Pencil Park in Keysborough South. They're concerned about the health of the waterway, noting several dead fish and a lingering putrid smell. Also, the wooden uprights on the bridge appear to be weakened by infestation. Can we have the water tested and a report provided on the uprights of this bridge?
Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor. With regards to those particular points, I can advise that Melbourne Water are the responsible authority for the management of the wetlands and waterways within Keysborough. Council are responsible for the maintenance of the vegetation from the high water mark. We did contact Melbourne Water on the 24th of November when initial concerns were raised regarding the volume of azolla, which is the plant that grows on the top. We've yet to receive a response from Melbourne Water. In the interim, we will install temporary signage on site and utilise social media to inform the community about azolla, its life cycle and the benefit it provides. However, we do understand that there can be some side effects with regards to the impact on fish. The bridge and boardworks have recently been inspected. Some of the timber posts have been compromised due to water penetrating the top of the posts. These will be treated to prevent further deterioration, and metal capping has been ordered and will be installed in the coming weeks to further protect the infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Garrard.
Just a follow-up question. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your efforts to resolve the issue. The Keysborough South residents are very aware of the life cycle of azolla and are very familiar with it. This appears to be quite different. It appears to be quite thick and has been there for some time, and the smell is an additional issue. So if you could continue to advocate to Melbourne Water, that'd be greatly appreciated. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Deputy Mayor Foster.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Over the past couple of weeks, I attended a number of events online and in person, but the main ones that I want to make mention of today is firstly the Greater Dandenong Combined Schools Interfaith Gathering, which was held online, that I attended with Councillor Long. Normally this event would be held face-to-face and has since 2002, so it's been running for quite some time. However, due to COVID, like everything else, it's was via Zoom. But the group managed to bring together the faith and school communities really well in such a lovely manner with the help of Dandenong High School Year 11 media students who put together a beautiful video for the event. I also attended the Young Women's Gala Day. In attendance were female students from Noble Park Secondary College, Dandenong High and Mount Hera College. The girls had a great time with activities, including hearing from a dietitian about the importance of healthy eating. And they had St Kilda Football Club demonstrating some skills for the girls, amongst other activities. The girls had a lot of fun from what I could tell, and no doubt appreciated the lessons in being more active and the benefits of physical activity for their physical health and well-being. And I'd like to thank the community development team for putting this event together and being able to finally fit it into the year. I believe it was meant to be held in July this year and postponed due to COVID, but we managed to get it in for the students, so it's fantastic to be able to support young women in our community and encourage them with fitness. I also want to thank Council for their response to cleaning up and repairing our amenities following the horrendous weather that we've had earlier this month. In particular in the Yarraman ward, I know that the Noble Park Tennis Club, they were impacted by the storms and had gates that weren't locking and fencing that was virtually coming down, but our team, the council team, responded quite promptly to ensure the safety and to repair the damages. So thank you to the relevant team, and I'm sure the Noble Park Tennis Club and the President are very grateful. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Foster. Councillor Formosa.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to bring to Council's attention an incredible 12-year-old local, Connie Sehogios, who is off to Portugal tomorrow to represent Australia in the Junior Table Tennis Championships. She and Pauline Kaur have both been selected to represent Australia, the only two females to be selected, both Dandenong locals, I might add. And Connie did apply for a community sports grant through City of Greater Dandenong, and that was actually put through today, I believe, through Council. So a big thank you to Council for helping her with her extremely expensive tour that she'll be taking as of tomorrow. Table tennis obviously doesn't get a lot of funding that it needs, particularly juniors and particularly females. So there's also a GoFundMe page if anyone was interested in supporting Connie and getting her to Portugal. That'd be greatly appreciated. Incredible young woman that's doing amazing things in this sport and will continue to do so. Speaking of sport, I also went to Ross Reserve on Thursday to watch Springvale Athletics Track Club train, and they were telling me how they're having some issues with numbers and participation. So I was really keen to see what it is that we could do as a council to encourage more people to attend this athletics club. They're doing incredible things in the community and have been for decades. But another thing that was brought to my attention was that some other sporting clubs are using the facilities at the same time as them. So through you, Mayor, if you could ask the relevant officer to investigate or have someone go out and see who it is that's using the facilities at the same time, and obviously to discourage them from doing it at the same time as the club, but to obviously give them the option of when else they can use the facilities, because we still want people participating. Thank you.
Ms. Badan.
Thank you for that, Councillor Formosa. Through you, Mr Mayor, we'll arrange for the relevant officers to investigate that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Badan. Councillor Formosa.
Thanks, Ms Budin. That's appreciated. Another thing I'd like to bring to the Council's attention is the drainage and pit works that are occurring on the corner of Sunline Avenue and Tudor Crescent, Noble Park North. I've actually raised this once or twice in the past. It's actually complete. The pit is completely exposed and has been for quite some time. And I did raise this wondering when that was going to be finalised, and it hasn't happened as yet. So if the relevant officer could please respond.
Mr Keasley.
Thank you, Councillor. I'd have to take that on notice and check why it's taken so long. If you could just send me those particular details. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr Keasley. Councillor Formosa.
Can do, Mr Keasley, and thank you for that. And whilst we're on the topic of Sunline Avenue, there has been some line markings that haven't actually been done since the resurfacing, particularly on the corner of Sunline Avenue and Oakwood Avenue, which is creating a bit of a hazard. So if you could also look into that for me, please.
Mr Keasley.
I can.
Thank you. Councillor Formosa.
Thank you very much. And on a good note, it's only taken me since I got elected as councillor to have the horrendous potholes on the corner of Jackson's Road and Justin Drive to be filled. Hallelujah. Thank you. I am very, very pleased to announce that we finally did get that resurfacing done. So I'd really like to thank our team, because we had to work with the Department of Transport on this one, as it is partially their responsibility. So it took some time to get that done, but we did get it done. So kudos. Thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you, Councillor Formoso. Councillor Trong.
Last week, because I go exercise every day and around my home, and I saw the rubbish bin at the front of number 48 of Harrow Road. I contacted the household and asked them, to should put the note or something like that, not put out like that. Maybe they get fined from council. And they told me that they put hard rubbish over there and already be taken by the council. And someone put all the stuff in at front of their home. And they say they hide the bin, they go into hide a bin and to put in. And the hide bin are put in already yesterday. And however, on the Patterson Road, Swindell South as well, number 47, number 56, and number 62 have a many rubbish bin of rubbish outside, hard rubbish. And some people complain. I sent a message to the council on 22nd of Monday, 22nd of November, but it's still there. I think nearly a month there already. And please, council, send someone to double check number 47, 56, and 62 to collect the rubbish weight. Thank you.
Mr. Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll take those on notice. It's something I can talk to the compliance team about as well, in terms of if they are commercial properties, we don't collect from commercial properties in terms of rubbish, but if they're residential, they may be waiting for a normal pickup if they've done the hard waste, but we'll check with you. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Kearsley. Councillor Trong. Thank you. Councillors, I attended the City of Greater Dandenong Children's Forum 2021, which was an online event, and it was great to speak to many children online, and I got asked many questions, which even surprised me. So I think we've got to do a bit more listening to the children, because they're our future, and that was a really good event. I also attended the Dandenong Wellbeing Centre announcement with the Honourable Catherine King, Shadow Infrastructure Minister and Federal Member, also for Bruce, Julian Hill, and also Claire O'Neill, Member for Hotham, at the Dandenong Oasis and the Noble Park Aquatic Centre. The announcement was a $20 million grant if Labor was to be elected at the next federal election. So now I'm looking forward to having the Prime Minister, Mr Morrison, coming in and doing the same thing, and I'll be very happy to wear my medal robes and chains, as I've said to other councillors, if they can match that announcement. So that would be fantastic. Also, I attended the opening of Messiah Angels, which is the largest Indian clothing store right here in Lonsdale Street, with Councillor Dark, and it was good to see Daisy, who is a Keysborough resident, setting up business here in Lonsdale Street. Very good, high quality clothing, and we want more of those shops open up in Lonsdale Street. I also attended the Audit Advisory Committee, which with Councillor Garrard, which is always very informing, and that's held every quarter, so I look forward to the next one. I also attended the Springvale Neighbourhood House 2021 Annual General Meeting. The Springvale Neighbourhood House is run really well, many activities, and as Councillor Lim, who was the guest speaker, spoke, there's so many things in Springvale, I can't wait. And we heard about how many people they helped during COVID, and so many online sessions where they even got online with people that never even used a computer. So they did some really fantastic work in that time. Also attended a state funding announcement with Mr Lee Talamas for the Noble Park Revitalisation Projects. There's many projects, which is, I went to the skate park, which is a program called Boss Your Board, Skateboarding Masterclass. If you've got Facebook, you probably saw a picture of me on a skateboard. But I do need quite a few lessons, actually. But there's so many other programs like Keep Calm and Yoga, Soccer Smarts, Community Soccer Clinics, Youth Fest, seasonal crate displays, tree planting program, transport, temporary public art, interpretive signing program. So there's so much activities happening that our community should get involved in that, and I think they're really, really great announcements. Also, I attended with Councillor Long to the Dandenong Cricket Club season launch, the Dandenong Panthers over at Shepley Oval, which the Premier League of cricket, the best you can get in the state, and it's good to see so many young juniors coming through the ranks there as well. And it's always good to support the local cricket club, which are at the highest level, which is fantastic. I also attended the Sandown Greyhound Racing Club TAB Melbourne Cup. It was a big event. It's very similar to the racehorses, but the greyhounds. And I was very shocked to hear the prize money for the dog that came first was $500,000. Yeah, so there's a lot of money for greyhounds as well. So, and the facilities look first class actually. The car park and everything around there, it just keeps on improving, which is good. I also did a recording video for White Ribbon Day. Unfortunately, we couldn't do our street walk from the market to Harmony Square. It's very important that we raise White Ribbon Day. As many of you, I've got a mother, I've got a wife, I've got a sister, I've got daughters, granddaughters. Family violence is unfortunately on the rise in the city of Greater Dandenong, and we've actually got to speak up and stand up, and I think we've got to be doing a bit more in this area, and I look forward to making sure that we get back to doing the march and sending a message to our community. I think it's very, very important. I also did a video for the Christmas carols. Unfortunately, it's going to be online again. We won't be able to do it in person, where Dennis Walter will be the main guest, main speaker. He'll be running the MC, he'll running the show, and that's on December 11th. And you can actually log on and watch it live on that day. I think it's in the evening, so don't miss that as well. And also, I had Councillor Long and her husband Barry donated $600 to the SES collection of aluminium cans. It took 3 years to get half a tonne of rubbish or cans that would have went to the tip. So thank you to Councillor Long and her husband Barry for doing that as well. And also, the last one, on a really good note, the City of Greater Dandenong wins the 2021 Cities Power Partnership Climate Award in the Innovation category. I'm excited to announce that Council has been awarded the 2021 Cities Power Partnership Climate Award in the Innovation category for the development of our climate change self-assessment tool at the recently held National Awards event. This Council's initiative, Climate Change Self-Assessment Tool, is a first-of-a-kind tool that is now used in the assessment of all asset and infrastructure project bids. The tool provides a holistic assessment against 10 sustainability themes and assesses the contribution of the proposal capital improvement project towards this Council's commitment to achieving net zero carbon emissions across all operations by 2025. Climate change is a major issue for councils and communities throughout Australia and across the world. It is therefore really pleasing to see our council leading the way in this area and making a meaningful difference by ensuring council's projects mitigate against the impacts of climate change. The development of this tool has resulted from the hard work and dedication of many officers across the organisation. However, I would like to particularly recognise Jessica Harrison, Marina Lysenko, Russell Tate, Alison Saunders, Kelly Davidson and Darren Wilson, who are instrumental in developing this self-assessment tool and training staff across an organisation in how to consider the impact of climate change across a very diverse range of capital works bids. This is another fantastic representation of the brilliant work that is undertaken by this organisation, and I look forward to us continuing to lead the way in this space. Put your hands together for him. Mr. Benny, you have some responses to questions taken on notice at the previous council meeting.
Yes, Mayor, there were 20 councillor questions taken on notice at the last meeting. All questions have been answered and are tabled in the minutes this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Benny. Item 7, urgent business. If there is no urgent business, I declare the meeting closed at 7:59 p.m. Thank you.